Welcome to South Harmon. Welcome to South Harmon. Hey, welcome to South Harmon. We glad you here today. Another AMA. Ask me anything. Super chat is cool if you wanna pay to play. Like and subscribe, that's what we really appreciate. Let me introduce you to the tear down king. Mike McNutted, ask your questions, he'll answer anything. ATM, you know Adam put them graphics on the screen. Glad you tapped in now, stay tapped in for the team. Hey, everything is posted. Go follow the socials. South Harmon FF tag us if we get noticed. Welcome to South Harmon, we glad you here today. Welcome to South Harmon, we glad you here today. Another AMA. Welcome to South Harmon, we glad you here today.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back into another Wednesday night AMA. As you can see, Adam's here as always. Where else would he be other than being FF, not fantasy football? But Alan is in the building. Alan Seslowsky, my guy. Oh, I've got to hook up with Alan here a few times on Sirius XM radio, making my debut. I always get nervous as shit. I talk way too much on there, but we brought Alan over here, so my ass isn't nervous. Let's see if we can make him nervous. How you doing, Alan?
So you guys break every single rule by doing a long intro to your YouTube, but meanwhile, I listen to it every time. I rewind it. I mean, fizzle is ridiculous. I mean, I know I'm preaching to the converted here, but it's just like I'm like, welcome to South Harmon. You know, like
yeah, man.
Yeah. I mean,
Vibing.
more of that. And you know what? I would steal him and then have him do my intro, but then it's not. He's your guy. I can't even do it now. He's So anyway, kudos on the intro. I love it.
Listen, man, I'll tell you this much. Fizzle will absolutely make you a intro if you'd like one, and I know he'd happily do it. He loves doing it. The Spotlight series he and Mike did was awesome to hear. The process he has in the songs and how much, if you just listen to him, the words, the lyrics, he puts a lot of thought and effort into the person. And to me, that's part of not to mention the music's fire, but that's part of one of the best parts about Fizzle. By the way, Fizzle's he's welcomed me in, man. Hey, Alan, welcome to South Harmon. We're glad you're here today, man.
I'm glad to be with Fizzle, man. It's like, he's like the third sort of like virtual guy in this podcast. There's you two, the hosts, then him, and then there's the guest. Like I'm fourth chair.
Yeah, it's true. He's on every episode at this point now, and he's made his debut with South Harmon doing podcasts. He's starting to get his feet wet there, and I'm excited for it, man. So, yeah. Alan, listen, and I haven't been on XM, right? That's Mike's role.
You're next.
We put Mike in the. You don't want me on XM. You could put me on there, but Mike is a little more dressed up than I am typically. I have a little chance to
let's just say
make a mess, man.
Every time Alan invites me on, I put a nice little Post-it note on my monitor, so I'm looking at it the whole time, and it says, "Don't cuss."
Don't curse. There you
cuss.
go. I would need a lot of that too, man.
Mike, don't fucking do it.
Right? See, because this is how we talk, Alan, on ours. We just kind of let loose. So.
I know. I watch the show. Like I said, I'm a fan. I'm a fan first before anything else. But yeah, no, that Mike does great on the Sirius XM show. You're the featured guest. You're supposed to talk the most. I'm bringing you on because I want to share the value you bring with our audience there. So it's like it's hosting 101, right? Like set the guest up and get the hell out of the way with that type of stuff. So, and yes, Adam, you will be on there as soon as we get into our 2-hour shows again, or next time we have a guest, which is actually coming up. So I will reach out.
Listen, I'm excited for it. I was excited when we did our show when you had me on.
We had a good time.
That was awesome. I made a couple good calls and I made a lot of bad calls on that one, but we'll relive that another day. This time we're supposed to be hosting you, so let us host Alan, man. Let us host Alan. You see all these questions in here, Alan? One of the best parts about AMA, for me anyway, and I think Mike pretty much agrees, is it's a platform where we get to engage with the community that is the forefront and foundation of what we're doing here at South Harmon, right? So like for us, everything is based about the community and the people that play the game of Dynasty, right? Because the reality is this show doesn't exist without them anyway, right? If no one's playing Dynasty, who's listening? Nobody. So for us, one of the best parts, at least for all of our content, is centered around our community at some point. But today is so fun for us because we just get to kind of let them dictate where the show may or may not go. I mean, Mike will put the shades on and make sure it stays entertaining, but we let them dictate the show a little bit. So, Alan, gonna see your versatility, man. Whatever happens on the AMAs.
Yeah, this is my type of crowd here. You know, the late night crowd. You know, maybe people a little, fucked up or whatever. They're just shooting out there. This is, you know what? This is like the purest form because these are the people that really love Dynasty. If you're up at 9:45 p.m. on the East Coast watching a Dynasty show on YouTube, man, this is our people, right? This is where it's at.
To your point, that's such a good point and highlights this crowd because think about it. Right now you're in the middle of the season, which can kind of feel like a grind in a way. You got Thursday football, you got Saturday football, you got Action's starting up. We got football every day. One of the days you don't really have much football, I want to talk about football with Mike and Adam and Alan. That's dedication, baby. So let's get to these people. Real quick, before we get to any questions, Mike, is there anything you wanted to cover specifically? You and Alan are in a league. I'm also, a little jealous of that. That sounds like a lot of fun. Currently, I think both of you guys are in the playoff picture, correct?
Alan is not, unfortunately.
Well, I fell out. I was in it last week. I fell out.
I keep forgetting it's a 4 teams only make it. Okay, you're right.
I hate that rule.
Who made it? Did Mike make that rule?
No, I did not. This was set up by a guy. He's in the chat, right? Kevin Bachledge? K-Bach?
Oh, K-Bach. I've had a chance to talk with K-Bach a little bit. Is he in here? He's got to be. There he is. What's up, Kevin Bachledge? What's going on, man?
Do you like that rule, Mike, or you don't care? You're neutral.
I kind of fucking hate it, but it's really best ball. It's okay. Like you can get away with it in best ball, especially with median scoring. Like the good teams, Alan, you'll find, I don't know, with best ball, if you're properly roster constructed, if you're a good team, you usually are in the finals, if not winning the championship. Like the variance really goes away in best ball for, you know how that shit is. You'll have a strong contender in lineup league and get your ass bounced in round 1. Happens all the time, right? The variance is all over the place. Best ball is all about depth and roster construction, and if you're properly constructed, you withstand bad weeks from your star players. Boom, you're in the finals. So a 2-week championship ain't the worst thing. Only 4 playoff teams, not the worst in best ball. If this was a lineup league, this would be absolutely brutal. Like you couldn't take it. I'd probably lose my mind.
Yeah, I'm in 5th place so I'm fighting there. I lost, again, boohoo. Everyone's lost somebody, right? But I lost 2 quarterbacks. I lost Aaron Rodgers and I lost AR-15. So Will Levis came to life, right? Like that Undertaker meme when he sits up, right? Like finally, I have another quarterback in play here.
Let's go.
So, and then I got Gardner Minshew, great. So that's what I'm saying. Like, I guess I'm mad about it because it affects me. If it didn't affect me, I'd say, yeah, I don't care. I'd be giving the same answer you just did.
You're sitting second. You don't give a shit, right?
Exactly.
Circumstances kind of change the answer here pretty easily. All right, listen.
Oh, Jesus.
I am not in any 4 only make the playoffs. I guess if I had one league like that, it wouldn't be a wrinkle I hate. But at the same time, I'm okay if I don't ever have one of those. Would be the way I'd answer the question. All right, listen, man, we got 2 super chats to get to already. Let's at least get to acknowledge. Dang, Dr. Ryan Cecil. What's going on, Dr. Ryan Cecil? We appreciate you being here today. Yo, fellas, I'm in a 10-team Superflex start 10. Are y'all trading away Bijan and Jacoby Myers to go get Jamar Chase? He's thinking on it. If he doesn't bite, would you add much more? Well, to the first part of the question, I'm in. It's 10 team. We're already way down. This is a consolidation move that I'm a part of. I would make, even though I love Myers. In this format, I don't care, personally.
Pack your shit, Bijan. I'll help you.
You know what also would make a difference to me, though, a little bit? I guess I'm getting so jaded about the different, we say start 10, start 9, like the depth, but is it one of those things where you have to start 4 receivers or is it all flexes? That makes a difference to me here a little bit.
Yeah.
So
that's fair.
I would agree. Yeah. I think if it's you're starting a lot of players, you could make the case for the other side. I would say typically I would like this Chase side, but to your point, I think there's probably a few scenarios where maybe I'm a little more hesitant to trade away guys like this. But Dr. Ryan Cecil, I think the first part of the question we're all in agreement on, unless it's a crazy long starters, take the Chase side. Now, the second part of your question, this is kind of a wide open question to me. There's no bearing on really Would I add a little more to this? Sure. Am I going to start adding, a house and home to this? Nah, probably not.
I'll add some seconds.
Yeah. There you go.
Some.
This is a fair trade as it is. I mean, add a second. You mean like what on the Bijan side? It'd be like it's not enough for Chase. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. I'm not even going to say that to Alan, to your point, the value is already correct. But if you're saying this is a move you really want to make, if you want to give him something to get him over the top, I'd go ahead and add a second. Something in that range, which is a piece that he'll value, but I'm not adding a difference maker player, and I'm not adding a first round pick personally.
Do we agree? If this was, let's just say it's a single quarterback league, just so we're not touching the quarterbacks here. We're doing a startup draft, right? Single quarterback league, so position players go first. Isn't Chase and Bijan mostly going to go within a pick or two of each other?
I would say this. Here's what I would say. In the startups this last year, so, I mean, let me reword that. 10 weeks ago, okay? Yes, I think definitely. They're a pick or two.
Bijan might have gone ahead of them.
They're in that same range of tier in 10 team. I think that there's a little bit of wear on the name and the value of Bijan, even in a league like this, which is going to be driven by the high-end skill players. I think there's a bigger gap now. I don't know. I think Bijan still could probably go in the first round, frankly, but I don't know that I think there's definitely a gap between these two now.
He's not RB.
Bijan. The problem with Bijan is we're waiting for the production. We haven't seen it, right? We've seen spurts, but there's a certain someone down in Atlanta, Georgia, that keeps holding them back, and until that dickhead is gone for fantasy purposes, can you trust him, right? If he comes out tomorrow and this weekend has a big game, right? Goes for 150 and 2 touchdowns, people will be like, oh, all right. But I guarantee you next week we would be asking questions. Do we start Bijan again? Like, is it okay? Or can we do it? It's not just one game. Like, you need to see multiple games at this point because we've been so disappointed, so jaded from the way he's been used. So that's what makes it tough. Jamar Chase every single week, nobody asked me start-sit questions. Do I start Jamar Chase? Like, if Jamar Chase is healthy, he's starting for you. Bijan, on the other hand, in a 10-team like this, there's a possibility you could sit him. I've sat him in leagues before. I've sat him in 12-team leagues just because you have better options that are more consistent. So at least for this year, like, it's tough. And then you look at the running back position, how long do they last, right? Like, how long do they just before they fall off a cliff? He's an amazing talent, no doubt. Like, I love the guy, but Arthur Smith is just torpedoing the shit out of this right now.
Is he still your RB1 guys in Dynasty? Like, if you're doing rankings right now, we got to do rankings for startup season next year. He's the guy at top of the list? Or, I mean, at this point, are we saying running backs are one-year mercenaries anyway, and I'm just putting Christian McCaffrey or Travis Etienne on top?
I think the answer to my question the answer to the question you're asking to me has 2 answers. If I'm doing a mid-season startup right now today for this season, I'm taking Christian McCaffrey as my first running back overall. If we're going as a startup next offseason, it's going to be Bijan Robinson. And I'm praying that we get some Arthur Smith relief at some capacity soon.
Yeah, right. If I do a startup right now, it's for I'm thinking about 2024. Bijan's the RB1, but Christian McCaffrey's in that tier 1 with him still. Until Christian McCaffrey shows me he's not good anymore, he's going to be up there. So it's Eric and I, spoiler alert, America's Game comes out podcast tomorrow. Go check that out on South Harmon podcast feed.
I like that guy. Where'd you get him, Eric? I heard him over the summer on one of your podcasts or a podcast with Adam. That's how I found Adam, by the way. I just heard a random podcast. I don't even know how. And it was him and Eric going through like different rosters and who to clean out. I thought Adam, because I only heard his voice. I never saw his picture. I thought Adam was a black guy.
So has like 95% of our audience at one point or another.
I mean, it is amazing to me, though, that it has been this many people that have thought that. I'm not surprised that it's maybe here or
so
there. So it's
not even an original thought.
But it's a honestly now, I guess, a commonality that a lot of people have had.
I was disappointed that you were white, I have to say. I was disappointed.
Can I tell you a funny story? When I'm in 4th grade, okay? I was used to at this point in basketball winning a lot of games, and we go to play the Shooting Stars for the very first time. This ends up being what LeBron played for. He's years older than me, though, right? They come out there, they got shakers, like coins and bottles. They got a huge crowd. They're way bigger than us, more athletic. They destroy us. And I remember we're driving home, man. This is one of those just crazy things you say as a kid. And I'm just pissed that we lost by like 30. And I'm in the back seat. I go all the way to the back of the van. I'm not even sitting in the middle row. I'm all the way in the back. I want my space. 20 minutes in, I'm like, why couldn't at least one of you guys be black? Because they just kicked the shit out of us. And so I guess we were both disappointed, Alan.
Unfortunately.
No. I forgot when you were on my podcast. I was going to bring that up, but I feel relieved now because I felt like, oh, is this a bad thing to say? But it's not because like you know what, Mike, you have to admit, Adam's got that voice, right? He's got like that real radio voice.
I call him Barry White all the time.
Yep. All right. There you go.
Soothing tones of Barry White. That's why he's the perfect one for doing like podcast intros, like the speaking parts. He's perfect for it. But we found Eric. Somebody threw Eric away. Right, somebody tossed Eric to the scrap heap. I have no idea why.
I would say this: it's a
hiring Eric, bringing Eric on as part of South Harmon.
He's
was
good,
amazing.
that guy.
He is.
There is not very many people in this space who do a deep dive every single week like Eric does. Right, his waiver show where he's talking about snap shares and deep dynasty leagues. Go pick up Tanner Hudson. Look at his snap percentage from this. He ran this many routes. I'm like, Jesus, Eric, this is what we need for these best ball leagues.
He gives both content that is not found elsewhere and does it at a high level, which like is insane to think about. Now, to the point that Mike just made, I think the best way to think about this would be, at least for us, is, you know, you're in a league and in Dynasty, you have these long rosters. So like you're on the waiver wire and stuff. You find some gems here and there, but you never find like a real true starter that just gets dropped for some reason, right? Like that's kind of how it felt for us, like an easy unload the fab clip, get this guy, whatever it takes, off the waiver wire. He shouldn't be there.
A second-round Dynasty startup pick just chilling on waivers.
There you go.
One time, though, you remember, we were in a league, somebody dropped Amon-Ra St. Brown. I think it was last year heading into the season, right?
Now, wait, I was going to say, okay, we reversed it, though, no?
No, we did not. Because I let him. Listen, I'll let anything stand unless you, like, tell me, like, hey, I didn't mean to do that. Shit, we dropped Amon-Ra. Do you remember the mad scramble for the weekly waiver run? Like people trade for fab left and right. Like,
but you know what? This was 2 years ago. It was 2 years ago at least though, because it was like there was he was absolutely not supposed to be on waivers, but it wasn't like this guy's a clear cut top 5 dynasty wide receiver at that point.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was last year heading into the season, right?
There you go. There you go. Yep. There you go.
Tell me how you handle this. So someone last year accidentally dropped AJ Brown, right? I saw it. I saw it. Okay. So I was like, okay, obviously it's an accident. The commissioner's going to put him back on the team. But I was like, I'm just going to put a bid on him anyway. You know, like, why not?
Right.
3 days goes by. Like, it happened like on Monday. Like, the waivers ran on Wednesday overnight. Goes on my team, right? Another 2 days goes by. Nobody says anything. I feel like, okay, all right.
Got him.
And then the kid says something, and then the normal argument happens. They told me, they're like, oh, you have to give him back. I said, I'm not giving him back. I said, I'm not doing it without, and I said, I'll be a good league mate. I want an asshole tax. Give me a second round pick. You know?
There you go.
I know.
That was nice of you. I wouldn't have given them shit, right?
I didn't get shit. They all,
I give you a 12-hour rule, right? Like, I understand you go through it and you got a lot of leagues. You fuck up, but at least have the decency to check to make sure you didn't fuck up, right? Like, I'm always paranoid about it. Same thing with, like, a trade. If somebody posts right away in the league that I commissioned, like, hey, I didn't mean to click accept, you know, when it's within a reasonable time, by all means. But if it's, 2 days go by and they're like, I didn't mean to accept it. Bullshit, too late. It stands. I don't care what you say.
Yeah.
It's done.
Or the two people can work it out. And then say, hey, look, it's me and Mike, all right? Let's say we know each other through all this stuff. Mike, I screwed up. I dropped age. Give him back. I'll, like I said, the asshole tax. I owe you a second round pick in 25.
I've had trades like in other leagues that I don't commish, like I read the trade wrong. I hit accept. And within 10 minutes, like I was like, oh, wait a second. Why the fuck's this dude on my team?
I really messed up here.
Oh, my God. I fucked this up. So I'll type in the chat. I didn't mean to accept that, whatever. And people go, oh, you just got trade remorse. I'm like, in 10 minutes? Jesus.
That's the quickest buyer remorse in Dynasty we've ever seen. But,
Good Lord.
They're calling their shot. Let me just say this. We got to get to a massive super chat here. I don't know that I've ever held a super chat of this amount this long. But I'll say this. This topic right here is still causing waves. People are, at this point, they think this is like an AI thing. Like, this is not actually me. They're still convinced I'm black. Where's the real ATM? So, today, 2023, maybe anything's possible, right?
Could be.
Are we sure that this super chat is in American dollars, by the way?
Here's what we need to do. First and foremost, let's pull it up on the screen. And let's go ahead
Round of-
and hit the sounder, man. Cheers. Alan, you don't have to partake, but Mike and I, when someone hits a super chat of this degree, we do a shot. It's part of our ritual.
Shit, for $100.
Hold on. Let me do a quick line over here. Hold on 1 second for this.
There you go. While
Say
Alan's
one
getting
for
to the good stuff that I wish I would have brought down with me now.
Colombian Bam Bam.
All right. So here we go. Here's an $100 super chat, which actually it is in U.S. dollars. Interesting.
Because that happened on the RotoWire page the other day. Like, some guy was all happy. He got $100, and I looked into it. It was in not just pesos. It was in Dominican pesos, which is $1.80 of American.
Dude, I played down there for a little bit. That is not even close to $100.
I was gonna say I was recently in the Dominican in like April, and I made some purchases that in the United States cost a lot of money, and in the Dominican, when the guy told me it was like 3,800, I was like, "What?" And he goes, "No, that's Dominican pesos. What's that? Like $13?"
Exactly. So.
Oh well. This one, let me put it back on the screen. I just wanted to put this up here. Alan's a legend. People are loving every bit of this start.
All right.
Also, all right, $100 super chat, man. Let's get to it. Deep sea. So I'm in this Bush league with 3 goats. All right. I was given an opportunity to prove myself by solving Stoppa's dilemma while building his air quotes super team to
It's
3P.
it's Stopa, by the way. Stopa.
Okay.
I like that you call him Stoppa, by the way. It always makes me laugh.
I will say, for me, it just kind of fit given the situation for me. Like Stoppa, it's probably where it came from my brain. But now that I know the correct pronunciation, it'll always be Stopa. Easy.
Yeah.
Done.
Yep.
Now, to 3P this B, I mean, you can at least put the whole thing in there, man. Spell it out for $100, for God's sakes. Let me show you how every trade was strategic and necessary. Deep Sea, I did tell him, I'm like, listen, he sent me, I will say, the longest amount of DMs out there with a bunch of traces and his reasoning, right? I cannot, I told him, you give me $100, I will talk about it on the show, and we can talk about the trade with you and things like that. We're not going to go through the entire DMs. I almost called him Stopa. Deep Sea. We're not going to go through all of it. I'll give you some airway. A $100 super chat gives you some leeway on here. So let me ask you, Alan. You and him had a trade recently. Let me just start there, and then we can kind of get into some more of Deep Sea's trades. But I'm curious. I think we actually, I don't want to give away the trade show. It's on the trade show for Saturday. Mike and I broke it down a little bit. So
the one I did.
Yeah, the one with you and Deep Sea, yes. But I want to get some of Alan's perspective on this, because I had some thoughts of why you may or may not have done it. But, that's me thinking out loud. I want to know the man, the myth, the legend that made the trade.
Yeah, I mean, so you don't want me to get into the specifics of the trade. Just want me to give you
I don't want to spoil the trade show, but we're going to spoil it.
$100. I would let this guy blow me.
$100.
I mean, I'd blow him. I'd blow him for $100.
Yeah. You give me enough. You give me enough blow, right? That you got. I'd be into. I think
$100 super chat, man. I mean, that's like tickle the balls and everything. You know what I'm saying?
The whole.
Yeah. All right.
I love it, man. I love this.
Yeah. So in the trade was here. The crux of it was I gave away Mike Evans, Mike White, the backup quarterback on the Miami Dolphins, and Raheem Mostert. So I gave those 3 pieces away. Oh, and I think Curtis Samuel too. But
that was it, Curtis Samuel. I knew there was one other piece that was ancillary. Curtis Samuel. There you go.
Which in best ball, that's fine. And I got back Nico Collins and Gardner Minshew.
Yep. And Darrell Henderson.
There you go.
Throw in.
Yeah, exactly.
I just want Deep Sea is probably going to be very upset with me if I don't get the details right. So that's the reason I know this. Now, I'm just curious, your reasoning, where the position you're in, like, why do you make this trade?
Okay, so this is a team where a league where 4 teams make the playoff. I'm in the 4th spot, but I'm hanging on by just literally hanging on.
When he made the trade, I think he was in the 4th spot though, right, Mike?
Yeah, I was in the 4th spot. Mike whooped my ass this week, so I dropped to 5.
There we go.
But I lost Anthony Richardson earlier, and I lost Aaron Rodgers. I'm doing this despite no quarterback play. I need a quarterback, right? I mean, you know how it's impossible to buy a quarterback in Superflex unless you want to overpay. This was my opportunity. Deep Sea kept knocking on my door, and he wanted to make this trade, and it didn't include Gardner Minshew. But for me, it's like I'm not looking to trade away Mike Evans. Mike Evans, to me, it's not. People think of him in Dynasty as like this 1-year guy. He's probably going to be around for like 3 or 4 years doing this.
I mean, because to that point, it feels like every offseason, Mike Evans has been geriatric for about 4 years, and he just keeps coming out and putting everybody to sleep. I think, at its simplest form, one thing that we talk about all the time is it's actually really hard. Now, even you go down as low as Minshew as far as dynasty ranking and value, but it's very hard to get a quarterback without giving one back typically in Superflex leagues. So to that point there, if you take it down to its rudimentary basic form, that is, sometimes I can overcomplicate some things, Mike, as you know, and that's as a simple form, it makes a lot of sense. I also like, at least for me anyway, because Mike Evans is very good and still producing. At this point, I wouldn't be surprised to see him do it another couple seasons or 3 even, right? But the one thing I do like the pivot for you going to Nico Collins. And to me, I was thinking maybe in a scenario of like you're trying to thread the needle, right? You get the quarterback and you get Nico who can still produce, but you're also getting younger at that spot in the same time. So that maybe just have been a benefit that you didn't – that was going in your favor. But if the quarterback sounds like the main piece of the deal. Mike, your thoughts on that after now?
The idea, I think you nailed it, right? Like, how am I going to get a quarterback? Gardner Minshew is definitely the quarterback for this year where I'm trying to compete. And he's now going to be on the Andy Dalton career path, right? Where he's going to be a bridge to a rookie and probably get some starts if there's injuries. I mean, was he the 33rd best quarterback in the league? So he's going to be useful in a best ball format, probably on another team, maybe on this team. And then, like you said, I get the age benefit, and I think Nico Collins in a best ball could pace Mike Evans. So I figured that's a wash. I give Mike White away, which is basically for me is a dead roster spot, but for him, he's buying expensive insurance because he has Tua. So then I give Mostert, which, Mostert with Devin Achane coming back and Jeff Wilson there right now. Like I said, he's a good piece, and I understand, but you could see the value falling off a cliff any day now. I just wanted to get out while I could, and that he was insisting on Mostert. So it's like Mostert is like a forced hold, guys, unless somebody actually wants him, right? You can't sell him, So that was the mindset.
Mike, I'm going to give it to you. I just wanted to say that point that you just made there. That, I guess, actually confirms, at least for me, how there is a threading the needle aspect, because as much as Mostert's great on a contender, we all would agree, right? Nobody's going to – Mike and I have been big on, like, if a contender you need a running back cheaply or, less than typical value in the market, go find Mostert. To the point you just made, though, like, if you can get out of him at a really decent price and you get a quarterback back and you're trying to thread the needle, like, if I don't make the playoffs, I'm getting younger. If I do, I have, I'm losing Mostert, but that's a kind of a in the moment value for Dynasty. So, Mike, I'm curious your thoughts on everything he said. I like the reasoning, I'll say, at least.
Yeah, I like it. I can get behind it. I didn't understand it at the time, but this is me, like how I play best ball Dynasty leagues. Like, either I'm in or I'm out, right? Like, once I realize that, like, I'm in the 4 seed, only 4 teams make the playoffs, like, I'm probably getting beat this week because Mike's so handsome, he's so good looking, he knows what he's doing, it's going to drop me to the 5 seed, fuck this, like, here we go, trade him away. Getting Nico Collins was big, though, like, in that part.
Yeah.
That's a guy who's going to have dynasty value. You're not really too worried about him, like, tanking in dynasty value. People are going to go, well, look, 3rd-year breakout, so 4th year heading into it, production and youth on your side. I like the Nico Collins acquisition. Just me, like, if I'm getting out though, like, you can keep the Gardner Minshew shit. Like, good luck to you. You enjoy Gardner Minshew. I don't want a 0 on my roster, in 2024.
Yeah, I mean we'll deal with that one. Sorry, I didn't mean to, but right now, Adam, Nico Collins is wide receiver what on the year without looking? Unless you know the answer.
I don't know it specifically, and it probably changes a little bit by league. I was going to guess in the 19 to 25 range.
Mike, what do you think?
Ooh, I would say he's a top 15. I don't know. I don't pay too much attention to points per game or points. I look at WARP, but I would imagine he's probably in that top 15.
We're mind warped at this point.
But it matters. It
does.
Right?
No, I'm not trying to discount it.
It's he's wide receiver 12, guys.
So there you go. Now, so here's
that to market. You could take that to market if I wanted to.
I had a feeling as soon as I said 19 to 25, I'm like, you know what, man, that sounds kind of like what he was, not what he is, right? So I immediately regret my decision. to
15
19
points.
25. But I will say this though, to the interesting part about Nico, right? You're talking about how he's producing right now, and I think if you look at a player like Nico Collins, who doesn't necessarily have the greatest draft capital, hits a little later breakout, you could say, well, maybe it's not going to be here to stay. However, when you see the guy that's throwing him the football, and how well, dude, it's going to be hard for Nico Collins to bottom out at this point. Like, he is attached to one of the guys that I want to be attached to in offense. If you just think about C.J. Stroud right now, the way he's playing, I see we have other super chat. We're going to get to it, I promise, but this is a good topic, so I want to talk about it. C.J. Stroud is elevating the game of all these players that have been around, or even the rookies that you didn't think much of. They're all gaining value on the back of C.J. Stroud. So even if you tell me, like, let's say the Texans with the pick of the Browns have, right? They have of the Browns. Let's say they draft their wide receiver 1 even. Like, first of all, he has to end up taking over from Nico Collins. But let's even say he does that. Even if he's the 1A, 1B in this offense, given that he's already wide receiver 12 this year, like he may end up being more of a value than even we think at today. So, interesting. You're selling me on this deal at least.
Yeah,
he's probably not happy.
Yeah, he didn't even have a blow-up game with the 450-yard game from C.J. Stroud. He just had like an okay game. He had 15 fantasy points, 14 fantasy points. You know, imagine when it starts getting focused and concentrated on him, right? It's like
that'd be impressive.
Yeah, so it basically that's what it is. It was I have this a weakness in my dynasty game, guys, where I'm always trying to win. Like even like when I'm until I'm like dead in the water. I mean, I know it's easy to start selling off pieces, but we have 6 more regular season weeks left, right? 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 5 more weeks left. I'm 1 spot out. There's like, you know, it was either make this move or just punt the season. I'd rather make the move and die swinging.
Listen, man.
Let me just
real quick. I just want to make real quick, Mike. You can have it. I just want to let everybody know that this guy is getting the most love I've ever seen from a guest by a country mile. But so carry on, Mike. Carry on.
You guys
Alan,
make it easy.
The fucking shit. Like, he comes out with a fucking tracksuit and he loves Coke.
Dog, you can't do better right now than he is. It's just incredible.
Adidas tracksuit too, like a real Russian gangster.
All day I dream about sex. Go ahead, Mike. Come on.
I gotta ask you though, Alan. Like, how many of these best ball dynasties have you gotten into, or how many do you do currently? I'm not judgy. All right, this is a safe space. I'm trying to convert everybody I know. I converted Kevin to doing this one as a best ball because he's always trying to get me in leagues, and I'm like, listen, I don't have the fucking time. I do too much content. Lineups for suckers. Give me a best ball league where I can do all the cool shit except for, you know, stress on Sunday because I'm trying to do 4 fucking shows and set all my lineups all over the board. So how many dynasty best balls are you in or doing currently?
So you're asking my body count, huh? My body count.
What's the body count?
So
Mike has no shame. Sorry about that.
Yeah. 41 total dynasty leagues. 2 of them are best ball. 38 of them are set your lineup. So to your point, talk to me. Am I making some rookie mistakes here? Because I play a lot of seasonal best ball. I know it's a different game.
Yeah. In my personal opinion, the biggest difference between best ball and lineup leagues, especially in dynasty, is like I was talking about earlier. The variance goes out the window, right? I don't want to make the playoffs just as a 6 seed, right? Because my ass is getting bounced in round 1, round 2, right? I always make the decision. If I'm a middle of the road team, boys, fire sale, come get them. It's done, right? Like, you can spot realistic contenders. You can spot them in August. Adam, it's very rare for us to build contending teams in best ball and then have them fall on their face. I mean, we're talking 1 out of 10 maybe. Well, just because you hit.
I would say today we have learned a lot the hard way. So
from failures.
If you go to Alan, if you go to 2021, so let me just give you, at least for Mike and I, the history buildup of how we get to all these best ball leagues. Right, we did this in 2021 as a lot of them. I don't know how many we did. 10-ish, maybe something like that.
By the way, I'm persuaded, by the way, that this is the way to play because my life is horrible. Like 3 days a week trying to set these damn lineups. I hate my life because of it.
Well, I mean, when you get to a higher portfolio, that is a big piece. I actually think there's a lot of other things that make it attractive to me that aren't just that, but that is a big piece as you play more and more. However, here's the thing. And I learned the hard way, so did Mike, in 2021 with it's the same, it's just best ball. They're the same thing. We found out the hard way either building teams with the wrong positions or not enough depth or thinking we have enough depth, but we really didn't. It's a combination of having enough high-end power, but also being backfilled enough with depth to make up for catastrophic injuries. To your point, like right now, you're trying to get back in the playoffs because you're getting Gardner Minshew. It's not a bad play in that trade, I don't think. But I will say, like, we now, to the point Mike's making, have a much better chance of assessing, like, okay, what are the odds of this team winning? That is a lot harder to peg because it's still a tournament at the end of the day. Right. It still is anyone can win, but we do have a much better time telling you this team has a very real chance to fall on its face or it doesn't if it's built the correct way.
So here's what I'm going to do, right? And I just decided now. I'm going to put a little sticky note for me. You know, I love to do this like data thing because not a lot of people look at this shit sometimes. I probably have 32 dynasty leagues that are best ball, right? I want to say I have like 7 or 8 that are lined up still just kind of floating around. And the rest of my 40-some fucking leagues are all best ball, period. That's all I do anymore. Alan, I will tell you this, and we can look back at it at some other time. We'll get you on a show, whatever. We'll collab because this has been fucking awesome so far. You're a great dude. I love having you on.
And I feel the same. By the way, you can let me have it. Let me have it.
Oh, you fucking match the energy.
Listen, Alan, listen. I will not shy away from letting someone have it. So don't worry. Right. When your time comes, I'll let you know, buddy.
But this is what I'm going to do, just to kind of illustrate the point, right? I'm going to keep track of every single one of these leagues, and I'm going to go back and look, once we get through, how many 5 or 6 seeds win their round 1 matchup? Like, how many move on? And then of those guys, like, how many actually make the playoffs? And we'll get a nice percentage of it. Like, the 1 and 2 seeds, how often are they winning championships? And I would almost guarantee that that's probably double, maybe triple the number that you would see in lineup leagues. It's just this weird thing about best ball where if you have the proper roster construction and the proper depth, you can withstand so much shit. Like, Adam learned this one of the first years we did best ball. He built this goon squad. And Adam, his starting lineup, like Travis Kelce and Davante Adams, like these dudes in their prime, absolutely elite. And I'm building a team, I had Cooper Kupp when he had his breakout year. I had Deebo Samuel. Like, I had some studs as well, but top to bottom, like I had 4 quarterbacks. I had 7 running backs. I had 9 receivers who could make my lineup on any given week. And then just a plethora of tight ends. Adam learned, like, come the semifinals, like, he misses Travis Kelce. All of a sudden, he's fucked.
Travis Kelce's out. DeAndre Swift's out. I don't even have backups, let alone someone to fill in for those elite guys and keep up with his team. Now, to Mike's point, the last thing I'll say, going into 22, I learned a little bit the hard way again. Because of that in 2021, one of the things you find out, Mike did an unbelievable job of building depth, but he also hit a couple lottery ticket gems. Deebo Samuel at crazy value, Cooper Kupp at crazy value, and those are key pieces because if you just build a stable of really good depth, you probably don't have the high-end power to hit it. So you need like a decent amount of studs. You don't have to have a ton of them. You just need a couple studs to make sure you have some high-end power. But if you backfill a couple studs, you can end up outperforming someone that has what looks like a much better lineup roster, I think is to the point.
Right. You can have, like, even in redraft best ball, like where everyone's reaching and getting all these crazy wide receivers. I'm always, my first 3 picks, the ones I've had success with, they're like workhorse running backs that are guaranteed the job, and then get these high variance mid-tier wide receivers that I have like 9 of them. And I'm talking about in a 20-round draft, right? Because every week, Terry McLaurin's making my lineup one week, and the next time it's George Pickens, and the next time it's Hollywood Brown. So I could see what you're saying, like constructing where you have these maybe a little bit more mid-tier depth where you have guys that can always make your lineup. But what was it? I guess really my question is, what was it about the trade that you don't like? Because Mike Evans and Nico Collins, it's kind of like they're wide receiver 11 and 12 by rank, right? But I'm getting the age there. So I feel like that's like a perfect dynasty trade. And what am I really giving away there? Was it the Curtis Samuel part of it? Because
it's 2 things. It's 2 things. I'm going to answer for Mike, and he can carry it away. But it's one, if you're going to contend, getting rid of Mostert, and it's 2 if you want to rebuild, getting rid of Gardner. Mike likes to play, and so do I. We like to play in the extreme versions. So to us, it feels like it wasn't picking a true direction, I guess, is probably the answer Mike's going to give.
Yeah, that's it. If you look at any, watch the trade show and you see whether or not I'm rebuilding or I'm contending, it's clear from the jump, right? Like, I'm not taking back assets where I go, then I have to flip them to somebody else, or then I have to move them, or my foot's like half in the water, half out. I'm either all in or I'm all out, period. Like, when I make a trade and I choose a direction, that's the direction I go. I don't pussyfoot around. Now, lineup league, I'm that whole listen, I kind of want to get a little bit younger, but I still want to compete. I want to play the variants. By all means, lineup, you can get away with that shit. You definitely can. I'm of the opinion, and granted, this is just my opinion from best ball leagues and doing all these, is that either you're in or you're out. Like, either you're good or you're not, right? I never want to be the 5th seed. I never want to be the 6th seed. I shit my pants when I'm the 3rd seed. Now, sometimes you build a contender later in the season and you make this real, I was going to say,
there's a caveat there. You don't. Mike doesn't want to be a contender that feels like it's failing, right? Now, there is the converse, which, Mike, I think we've seen sometimes, where you think you're in a rebuild, but you find out midway through the season, man, I'm going to make the playoffs, and I had 3 first-round picks. I think I probably now need to push into contending mode. But I think there's a lot of intricacies to it, but that honestly, to me, is at least, Alan, the basis of it. I don't think it's by the way, I don't think it's 100% a one size fits all, but I think Mike and I are very rigid in the way that we play. We play very
right.
So you guys don't see Gardner Minshew in this year as someone that can hit my lineup and have any sort of meaningful impact. That's really what I think where we're deviating here.
I actually kind of give you a little defense on the trade show where it's like I can see where you're trying to thread the needle, because Gardner Minshew might be enough of a quarterback play to help you sneak back in, and if that's the case, all of a sudden you're there. The only thing is now, how much does losing Mostert hurt you versus what does he give you? Well, that's an unknown. But I think the other last point is going to be this. I think that in this league, you probably can find a way to, if you don't make the playoffs, sell off a Gardner Minshew. So that also is the big point that, like Mike's saying, he doesn't want to have to be a part of flipping Gardner Minshew, where I think you still can do that.
Yeah. And I saw Mostert here. I'll briefly, is that the way I'm viewing Mostert is he's about to cliff with everything coming back, with Jeff Wilson getting more involved. Salvin Ahmed's not going away, right? Mike McDaniels has already said Jalen Waddle, I'm glad the bye is this week because he's got to get more involved. I could see Mostert just being a dead asset after the bye. Obviously, it could be wrong, and if it hits, you don't have to pick the weeks. That's what's so great about best ball, right? I never have to guess when Mostert's going to go off. So I was making that bet where, Mostert's been, let's face it, he's been a league winner. I know that term is so cliche, but he actually has been one, right, guys?
Yes.
So
yes.
I was making that bet. So that my bet was Minshew's going to help me. Mostert is going to be dead weight. And, and then obviously I think we agree on the Nico from Mike Evans piece.
I personally can see it from both sides, and I'm see, this is why I like to have people on or just talk to people that make trades, and I want to get their analysis. There are sometimes, Alan, frankly, you answered some of the questions that make me say, okay, I get it. There are some times where people tell me some things that I'm like, what the fuck did you do that for? That was really dumb. I don't think it's that for you. I think you're also, I would say this, even if you don't make the playoffs, I think there's a realistic scenario for you to sell Gardner for something, which will make the deal fine for me. All right, listen, we put off super chats like it's crazy. Go ahead.
And you guys made me self-doubt where I want to throw myself. Now you guys made me self-doubt where I want to throw myself off a building.
This level of trade will not ruin it. Mike's on mute, but this level of trade will not ruin your dynasty team.
Just so I'm clear, too, it's not the fact that I think it's a bad trade at all. It's just you ever do something the same way, you're like, this is the process. I mow my yard, and somebody comes along and does something a little bit different, and you're like, I don't think that's the most efficient, but you pay attention to it, don't you? You pay attention to it, and maybe I learned something from it from the get-go. And this shit happens to me all the time. But to be completely honest, when I saw it, I was like, that ain't me. I wouldn't do that. I'm not saying it's wrong by any stretch of the imagination, Alan. Not even if you're on here. You weren't on here, and we weren't friends, and I didn't like you, and you weren't wearing a fucking Adidas tracksuit and doing coke. I would say, hey.
I think part of what Mike's saying is so true, though, is that everyone here on the show of late can attest to the fact that Mike doesn't cut his own lawn. It's his wife that cuts his lawn. So that's why he can speak so much to this statement. Bingo.
See, Jewish guys, we pay someone to cut the lawn. You know.
See?
Yeah.
See?
Yep. You see, you Midwestern guys, man, middle of the country, like real men. Over here, it's like I'm a New York Jewish guy. Forget it.
Listen, we're Midwest as it gets.
When you throw all fucking 3 inches around like I throw around.
Exactly. It's like, you know what Jewish, be careful. You know what Jewish karate is, right? I sue. There you go.
Boy,
listen, there's not a lot
we have record breaking potential. I don't know if it's of views or what it is, but of some capacity, I think just of energy.
Fucked.
All right, here's what I'll say.
We've had racism. We've had it all on this show,
We got a $5 super chat. We had a $100 super chat that it's been so entertaining that we've kept off the screen for, I don't know, 10 minutes, which is hard to believe you could even try to do. This $5 super chat, I feel bad. Tiger King, listen, I promise you, we love you.
Tiger King.
We let me give you again, man. Like, I want to make sure it's clear. This is not we appreciate this, okay? We're glad you're here today, as Fizzle would say. Are you trying to up tier or down tier Davante Adams on a contender? Or would you stay put? If so, what 12-team Superflex, start 9, and it's a half PPR. So, okay, I think here's the reality, Tiger King. Honestly, I think I could make a case either way depending on what we're talking about going to and from. I'll say this. Mike, I'm curious your thoughts, and Alan, yours as well. Part of Davante Adams for me, like last year, my only hesitation to buy in was cost, but I knew he was gonna like smash the rest of the year. He ended up having issues down the stretch with injury, but this year, to me, the problem with potentially up tiering based on cost is going to be like Davante Adams isn't guaranteed to score a lot of points right now. He's not necessarily winning you a lot of games on his own. Given his age, plus that, I think the piece that's you're up tiering from matters quite a bit for me in a half PPR league, in a start 9 to mention as well. Because in this format at receiver, if I'm going to up tier, I better be getting a difference maker in a half PPR start 9 12-team Superflex.
My answer is pretty simple. If people are valuing Davante Adams like Keep Trade Cuts Dynasty wide receiver 25, then I'm holding the shit out of him. Like, fuck off.
There you go. Yes.
Right. I'm banking on a rebound. Here we go. Like, Aiden O'Connell's going to feed him. Whatever you want to wrap your brain around. Now, if they value him a little bit more, and there's a possibility, like I attach a second to him, I can go get a Stephon Diggs. I attach a first, I can go get the Warp God, Tyreek Hill. Boom. There we go. Done. It's kind of fluid, right? It just depends on where your league is valuing. If they're valuing like a shitter who's done and on his way down and nothing but a downward trajectory, hold them. There's no reason to trade him on a contender then. But if they value him reasonably, 15, 18, somewhere in that range, by all means, explore and see what it takes to up tier to a actual producer, Stephon Diggs, Amon-Ra. Let's go to Tyreek, right? There's plenty of options at the top to see what you can do.
Yeah, he's. I was going to say that he's the other side of it is I think you want to buy Davante Adams. I love buying guys like this. I always in Dynasty we use the term buy low like wrong, right? It's not even like it's. These are you have to like run into the burning building, buy these depressed assets. Right now, I'm trying to buy Davante Adams. I'm buying Cooper Kupp. I'm trying to buy Daniel Jones and Kirk Cousins and Nick Chubb and all these guys that nobody wants right now. But back to your, a question about Davante Adams. I think you nailed it when you said it's going to be league dependent. There are I'm in leagues where nobody wants him. Like they're like, oh yeah, I'll give you like a late second for him. I'll give you a Marvin Mims for him. What? No,
yep.
I'm like, I'm not even selling for a single first for Davante Adams. I mean, he's one of these guys whose game is going to age well, and just any sort of like a B- quarterback, we're going to get that top 10 guy again.
Yeah, I think, I think here's the thing for me with Adams, to the point you made, right? You talked about him and Cooper Kupp. For me, with Matthew Stafford potentially coming back, like I see Cooper Kupp as a guy that can absolutely smash. And I have seen Davante Adams be a hammer. I'm not saying he can't be. I am just a little weary of what his quarterback play is going to be given his ability to smash in that league format and then the fact that going into the offseason, I know there's a value decrease coming. So that's where, to your point, if you're going to buy people in Dynasty, you have to go buy those types where people are like, man, look at all these scary things. You have to run into the scariness and buy at a true low point where people would prefer to sell. So I like the analogy here. All right. I got another super chat from Deep Sea. And then we can actually get to the other questions that have been waiting here with just – I think they've stopped asking questions because we're curious about Alan's hygiene real quick, by the way.
My hygiene?
I'm reading the screen. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I think I might have mentioned my my penis shaving habits on another podcast. That's what it might be.
Are you a Manscaped guy? What are we talking here?
Oh yeah, I go full leg on the counter. I get in the asshole, the whole thing, man. You know,
there
like
you go.
Yeah.
Whoa,
yeah.
you do the butthole too?
Bald eagle type stuff. Wow.
Butthole underneath the ball, because the hairs get really long under there, so I like to have to hold them with one hand.
I like it.
Do a trim through. It's a
life
whole
is not
thing.
all about butthole pleasures. You know,
Let's go, man.
All right, I like it.
I only wipe
it
with dude wipes. All right, shout out dude wipes.
Mike has. I am trying my best here. I got 2 Red Bulls. I'm trying my best to get a Get You Wings contract. Mike has been trying since the day that we called it shit to get a Dude Wipes contract. His seems to align with our brand pretty well, but neither one's called yet, unfortunately.
There's another brand that's similar, right? It's like a glove you put it on and you wipe with the glove. It's called Shittens. It's like a mitten. You put it.
Hook me up, Shittens.
Yeah, it's a
You
mitten.
can't tell Mike something like this after he's had a whole drink. Look at this guy. Look how happy. Holy crap.
Disposable mitten shaved wet wipes.
Yeah, and you basically put it on like a mitten, and you can wipe. They're meant to like they use them in hospitals to wipe patients, or you can wipe.
There's probably a lot of these in like nursing homes, I would think, right?
Yeah, or you could just use it for pleasure. No big deal. But yeah, and the whole
Mike,
idea
I was going to say the reason I think it's good is Mike will try to use it for pleasure. He'll say he's going to grab a Shittens when he's going to go. Someone wants to get their first round pick back, and he has it. He's going to use that Shittens glove. Go ahead.
The name is brilliant, right? The marketing is brilliant.
It is.
I have a bidet. All right, I have a bidet. Okay.
This is the most amazing yet off the rails AMA we've had, and we've had some crazy ones, bro. This is awesome.
I only use dude wipes at work, right? Because they don't have a bidet, right? At home, I use one dude wipe, and it's just the final clean, the final inspection.
I don't even understand these people that just use dry toilet paper. Like, what kind of sick animals are they? I get it. You get in.
Nobody wants to have a push through situation ever. It's the worst thing.
Do you guys remember Deadpool 2?
I know Deadpool. I don't know the movie though.
Deadpool 2, the 2 hillbillies are sitting on the
I
back
remember
of the truck.
I remember Deadpool, not as much as the specifics of 2, but go ahead. I'm listening.
And the one hillbilly's asking the other, like, man, like, wet wipes are the way to go. And he's like, what? What are you talking about? Like, toilet paper is the standard. And he's like, listen, if you got some shit on your face right now, would you take a dry paper towel and just wipe it off with it? He goes, no, man, I'd get a rag, I'd get it wet, wipe it off. He goes, there you go. Why are you wiping your ass with a dry paper towel?
I think Mike's still upset about being called a hillbilly by the Billy the Puppet on Halloween. But
actually, it's kind of endearing, right? I've been on this kick.
That's the way I felt about it, but you were pretty upset at the moment.
I've been in my off time, Adam, when we're not podcasting or I'm, editing something or uploading or doing SEO or whatever the hell I'm doing for South Harmon at a given time. Farming Simulator 22. That's my vice, man. I gotta harvest my crops.
Mike,
so as soon as we get off here, I got a wheat harvest.
Christian, you have your work cut out for you. There's a million shorts in here.
Yeah. There's a million. It's the gift that keeps on giving.
It's a million. What? Mean that you have an editor and we're talking over each other?
Yeah, I'm telling Christian, like, listen, you got your work cut out. There's clips on clips on clips of greatness.
We have a video editor who's supposed to be making us shorts, YouTube shorts.
We try to push him to shorts. He likes the long form content, but
no. Shorts are a good way to promote the podcast.
Thank you, Alan. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, you're looking. That's what I do over at RotoWire.
No. That's why I'm kind of trying to give you a Go ahead. Tell him. Tell the kid.
Tell him.
Please.
Right? The Jewish guy wearing the Russian tracksuit who's doing cocaine.
Right. And
take it from him, Christian.
Doing cocaine and doing clips. It's like, that's it.
See? Shorts, man.
Yeah, and then
this
you
guy
guys
gets
have
it.
But you got to blast them everywhere. TikTok, IG Reels, YouTube Shorts, and it should all push. Yeah, you got it. We could do a whole show on content creation.
We can. Last thing I'll say is, what do you do, Alan? Because, you're a guy that can clearly take a little bit of rejection and some pushback. I mean, the way you just jive on this show very much gels with us. Mike and I give each other so much shit. People probably don't think if you just tune into a show or two that we're friends because we'll mess with each other. Maybe not to the Matt Bruning and Felix level, but like that's the way we play. We play like that's horseplay. That you fit in, so you get the rejection thing. How do you handle putting up what you think is a fire short, right? You put all this work in, you're like, this is going to be awesome. And it just doesn't hit. Like,
because I don't get too high when I do a video that goes to 100K. Like I'm like, all right, and then I don't when one fails and it does like 60 views. Like I of course I want to, but I keep going, right? Because that's what the YouTube people always get obsessed with, like the YouTube like algorithm, right? Just take out the word algorithm and put audience in there. Maybe it was a bad piece of content. You know what I'm saying? Like we all think our content is great, but sometimes the audience just doesn't care, right? Or there's like little things like we don't. Sorry, go ahead, Adam.
No, please. I'm listening.
But it's all about also like, when you do this for a while, you realize like the hook has to be there. Someone has to know within the first second and a half what the value is of that piece of content, or else they're going to thumb past it. Think about how you guys watch TikTok or IG Reels or YouTube Shorts. If in like less than 3 seconds, you're thumbing it.
Yep.
Yeah. So you have to know right away, you know, what that piece of content is. And sometimes it's confusing and other times, but also it's just, you got to ride the highs and the lows. So yeah,
I'm very much with the point you just made there. Making sure not to get too high on one video and too low on one is the key. It should be the way in Dynasty too. Like you shouldn't get too high off of one win and too low off of one win. Now, Christian, there's a clip right there for you that you can just keep for yourself. All right. Shorts, my friend, shorts. Now,
is he resisting you when you tell him to do shorts?
No, it's just, well, let me put it this way. We get all the long form done, but we're trying to get him to get more comfortable in the short form because that's what we want. And Alan is just giving you the reason. Mike is pointing at you. You've got a clip. You got a guy that's being nice right now. I haven't had enough to drink yet, but I'll get there.
Can I give you a hack that'll make his life with shorts
Christian,
easier?
You got another clip. Go.
Okay, so there's a great AI tool called Opus. There's a free version.
I've heard of this. Is this as legit as it sounds? Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, we use it over at RotoWire. It's fantastic, right? I mean,
Opus.ai or something, right? Or Opus.
Yep.
Something.
So there's
like
a free version. You could try it out, see if it's for you. All right, this is a free commercial for them, but you're going to want to do the pay version because watermark, all that stuff. And you just take a link from a YouTube video, an hour-long YouTube, throw it in there, and it'll cut you 15 clips ready to go with captions, the whole thing. 3 of them will probably be useful of the 15.
Oh my, 3. So what you're telling me actually is that Christian's out of a job.
Well, no, because AI doesn't replace the worker. AI replaces the tasks that the worker does, the menial tasks. So
right. So like Mike and I can do that part.
Sorry, Christian. Well, no. What Christian will have to do is he'll have to trim off the fat on the clips. You know,
okay.
He'll have to maybe
Christian, listen closely, buddy.
Right. So he'll have to trim off the fat little here. He'll have to add like a little backtrack to it so it fills in the dead space. And also, if you're umming and eyeing, he'll have to make those cuts in the clip too. But it's like, you know what, like when you go to a restaurant and the chef's not really cooking the steak. He's just like doing the little thing at the end, you know, like just throwing a little butter on it or throwing it becomes the sous chef and you're the chef. You just put the garnish on and add the vegetables and things like that. That's so AI works in conjunction with the video editor. It doesn't replace the video editor.
You need some form of a human to be in conjunction with that to the degree that can be up to the shithead.
Try it out for free. And again, we use it.
I'm gonna definitely take a look at this, and Christian, hopefully you can make this work. Otherwise, I'll make it work, I'm sure, with Alan. This is the guy right here, by the way, because this is fantastic stuff. Let's get to some questions. I have another super chat, man. I actually am never disappointed about super chats. I'm just disappointed that this show is so damn good. We're an hour in, and I've gotten to no free questions. That is, and to the point you just made, right? Yeah, it's not me. Let me duck. There you go, Alan. Now, here's the thing. Alan, you said something earlier that I listened very intently, right? We can sit up here and think this is awesome. Us 3 are having a ball. Of course we think this is awesome. I have a live chat full of people confirming that this is absolutely awesome. So
they love you. Listen, I'm a fan. I'm in the
love
chat.
Me. My name, ever since the black thing's been dead, I've been out of this conversation. Alan's been winning, man. Like seriously, you are taking this show by storm, and I'm happy to be a part of it, frankly. No, this is fantastic stuff. Super glad to have you on. Let's get to a couple super chats because nobody's stopping with super chats at this point. All right, man. Come on. Slenmo got a deal done in this league, I believe.
In our league.
In the league you're talking about. Right. Goff and Dobbs for a 24 first and 25 first earlier. Did I do the QB hoard right, boys? Can I just tell you guys something? Mike, you want to repeat that? I couldn't hear that at all. Christian needs that.
But fuck.
He got the quarterbacks, right?
Yeah. He got the first round picks. He's so Slenmo now Stopa, right? So the whole Stopa saga, Slenmo is the main culprit of this, right? Mike's doing the signal. Mike's been blamed for at least 3 or 4 people in this league, it seems like at this point, but it wasn't actually him every time. Slenmo is the one that implemented the quarterback hoard that got disciples.
Stopa. They're your disciples. That's
you're 100% right. And Slenmo even told me today, thank you so much for the help. This has your fingerprints all over it. And I'm like, listen, you can't talk about my fingerprints when you are wanted this highly by the FBI. This is criminal shit, dude. Stop putting this in DMs. We talk about this not over, the phone, over DM, definitely not in writing. Alan, what do you think of this trade?
Yeah, I mean, this is like, I couldn't believe this was real when I saw it, right? I mean, Josh Dobbs, I was shocked when I saw him go for a second in another league. I was like, oh no, he's Gardner Minshew with a little more upside. I mean, that's what he is. Maybe.
Yeah, I like that.
Maybe he's played his way into being a 2024 starter on this team, right? If they sign Kirk Cousins, if this works, right? If the Josh Dobbs experiment works in Minnesota and they make the playoffs and they're just re-sign Kirk Cousins, fine. Then maybe somehow he's worth a first. Not in my book, but like that's the only way, right? It's still not worth a first, but yeah, I mean, this is the biggest steal I've ever seen in any of my dynasty leagues, other than Pat Mahomes getting traded for Daniel Jones in a first-round pick.
Okay, so that's just there's exceptions to every rule. Now, I will say, Alan, he is the disciple, but you are the witness. You're getting to see this quarterback hoard thing is real, and people quitting leagues is rare, but we see the quarterback hoard implementation work, whether it's right now, 6 months, a year, 2 years. Mike's in a quarterback hoard from 3 years ago that he's still holding. Like it'll happen. It's just a matter of when. It's not if.
It's like Bitcoin, right? You're holding on. One day it'll be 100K, 200K, 500K.
Exactly.
I'm not leaving. I'm not fucking leaving.
All right, Slemmo. Listen, it's got to be higher than $4.99 for this type of a flex. The only reason I put it on is because Alan's a part of the league and so is Mike. So for future reference, you want to put a flex on like that? I'm just kidding. Appreciate it.
Look, this is a good flex though because he actually did it.
That's a fantastic flex.
Yeah, that's
he did a great job of not only implementing the quarterback hoard. What happened? Oh, this is
this guy spending the winnings before he gets it in the league.
What winnings? He just got beat by Mike, I thought.
Not me. I got my ass kicked by Mike.
Oh, yeah. Well, here, Alan, you get a piece of this. You don't realize that. Like, this is to help offset some of the losses you're ensuing. It's fine, man. This is why you come on the show. When we host, we delegate. We try to anyway. All right, McNutted, your team is a geriatric ward with a morgue for a tight end room. You have some depth, but you lack the firepower to contend with my hammers. I think was it 2 weeks ago? He kicked you, but listen, this is let me just stop. This is his shit talking. $20 super chat. Let me stop. You're going to bleed 30 to 50 points from your tight end slots alone, Mike. Alone. It's time to go all in. Bang.
First off, Kim, who's got the quarterback hammers? It's not you. It's me.
Hold on, Mike.
Thank you for the super chat, by the way, Deep Sea. I love you, buddy. But Trevor Lawrence to Russell Wilson. Who wins that matchup? This guy right here.
Hey, you know what, Mike? Have you looked at Warp?
Yeah,
it's Russell Wilson.
Okay,
it's Russell Wilson. Dynasty values treat T-Law though. I'm with you.
How about as a totality? He has 2 starting quarterbacks.
Okay.
Russ and Tua.
Okay. I definitely want to have a third though. Where'd Minshew go?
And by the way, Miami, brutal schedule in the playoffs. Did you see it?
It's a brutal schedule in the playoffs, and I still like them quite a bit, but we have seen their offense have a much lower floor than we probably ever thought, right?
Minshew went to Allen. Allen's enjoying the fruits of Gardner Minshew.
Oh, that's right. Sorry. Yeah.
That you are correct. So I have 4 quarterbacks who are have starting jobs. He has 2 in a best ball league.
I like the 4 better, I think. But who are the 4?
Trevor Lawrence, Mac Jones, Aiden O'Connell, Justin Herbert.
Whoa. Okay, so high. So you got some guns in there, quarterback room. No wonder you're tight end Ram's ass. Okay.
I tried to trade Allen, Joe Burrow for Anthony Richardson.
Wait, you had Joe Burrow too?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I ended up trading Joe Burrow for Justin Herbert plus Michael Pittman.
Are you glad you didn't do that trade with me, by the way? Are you happy?
Wait, hold on. What was this? What was this potential trade? I'm not privy to this.
I think I sent him Joe Burrow for Anthony Richardson and Romeo Doubs, if I recall correctly. And Alan told me I'm an idiot, and then Anthony Richardson got hurt that week. After
I never called you an idiot. I never did that.
Well,
something to the effect like this is highway robbery.
Mike takes personal offense when anyone tells him his trades are bad, and he thinks he goes to the extreme.
Listen,
Mike does think every trade he ever sends is like the most well thought out and best trade for both sides.
This was that fucking meme. It was the meme, like call an ambulance, but not for me.
Alan,
he offered. So just to give you context, it was Burrow at his trough, right? Like the opposite of it was trough Burrow.
Yeah, Burrow's on. He hasn't given any great weeks yet. Gotcha.
Right. I mean, and you were like, wait a second, is this like going to be good this year? Like you weren't even sure. I traded him straight up in a redraft for Geno Smith. Like that's how out on Burrow I was at that point. You know, obviously that was a bad trade, but so and Anthony Richardson was looking like, oh my God, okay, this could be Cam Newton plus for the next 3-4 years. So
Deep Sea is relentless.
Yeah, so I wasn't doing it. That's why I refused to trade. Obviously, if I had the foresight, I would have done it. And obviously,
Alan, can I say though, there was enough rumors on the streets about the Burrow stuff that I was scared too, man. Not of Dynasty, but of if I want to win, like, is this an asset I trade away? And A-Rich was trending up, and listen, injuries in hindsight to me are a little more fluky, but. Obviously now hindsight 2020 is there's one side of the deal you want here. For sure.
Deep Sea's paid like $130 at this point.
He's 130 in, correct. For those keeping tally.
Roster view, right? So he's got 2 quarterbacks. I listed them off, right?
By the way, we need to get to this. Please, Mike, give everybody here listening this whole time the team. Go ahead.
Running backs: James Conner, David Montgomery, Raheem Mostert just got from Allen, Gus Edwards. That's it. End of list for like startable best ball running backs.
I'd like to have more depth, but like you're just going all in on cheap assets that don't have dynasty value that could score points. Okay, fair enough.
Mike's running backs: Austin Eckler, Derrick Henry.
Well, hey, let's give the mic reveal at the end. Hold on, let's not spoil it all at once. Come on, give the build up. Give the build up. Give the build up of his team, and then we'll go to yours. Come on, trust me on this.
That's fair. All right, wide receivers: Tyreek Hill, hammer,
elite. And he's the stack too, right?
Tyler Lockett, Cooper Kupp, Deontay Johnson, Mike Evans. End of list. 5. Not bad.
Okay. How many starters in this league?
12. I believe it's 12.
Okay.
It's a 2 tight end. It's got 2 tight ends. Got Superflex. That's another thing too. So tight ends, you really got to tell the story there because with 2 of them, it makes a difference.
I actually didn't know it was 2 tight end. Thank you, Alan, for filling me in on that.
Travis Kelce, Logan Thomas, Darren Waller if he comes back and he's still in the playoffs. Right, we'll go 2.5. Hunter Henry, so 3.5.
I mean, what is Darren Waller's incentive to come back when he's ready to come back?
He wants a contract next year. I was saying he wants a contract.
I'm not going to say it's 0 to Mike's point. Mike is. See, Alan, this is what I'm talking about. He lives in the extremes, okay? Just understand that about Mike. It's okay. I accept him for that. I'm not going to say it's 0, but I think it's low just because your point, he wants a contract. But
No,
the one thing
I've been drinking draft capital for him is 0, right? Like,
okay.
I'm not saying
fair
that Darren Waller's ass. I'm just saying we're
I think
going to look at 3 more weeks before we actually.
The mid-level here is that Waller wants to earn a contract, but I think he also doesn't want to go re-injure himself to hinder himself from a contract. So I think it's interesting to see whether he comes back or not to a team that's
and he's going to be catching passes from Tommy DeVito or Matt Barkley or
Danny DeVito.
Barkley. I think it's what's it called? Tommy DeVito.
DeVito, yeah.
Yeah, I have a feeling like he went for big fab, by the way, in all of our leagues, because it's just at the end and nobody has quarterbacks.
That's the quarterback you could find on the street, man. That's you go get him.
Love it.
All
I
right,
picked up Barkley in a couple spots too, though. That was a good call by you there.
Mike's running back.
Now hold on, real quick, Mike. Before you finish your team, it is imperative to me that we at least get Alan's team on here too if we're going to do these teams. All right.
I will. I'll get Alan's on here.
Good. All right. Go ahead. Carry on.
Austin Eckler, Derrick Henry, DeAndre Swift, Alvin Kamara. 4 running backs.
So you're 4 to 5, but I like yours a lot. Okay.
Wide receivers: Davante Adams, Amari Cooper, DeAndre Hopkins, Michael Pittman, Michael Thomas, Brandon Aiyuk. Anybody else of shit? Oh, Adam Thielen.
So I definitely think you have the depth piece. He has the hammers, but you win. You win depth. He wins upside. I think. Okay.
And my tight ends are god awful. I'm not going to fucking judge that, right?
And
Juwan Johnson, Dawson Knox,
yeah,
Jonnu fucking Smith's been playing really well for me.
See, this is the type of lucky stuff Mike gets. Jonnu Smith breakout season.
Go
ahead,
Alan. Granted.
Alan has a thought top of mind. Hold on, let me hear it.
I understand.
Jonnu Smith, tight end 12 on the year, man. That's not bad at all.
No, I mean that's
per game, and
Alan, listen, I'm telling you that Mike. Sometimes you talk about you shaving and all this, like cleaning up the ass. I swear to God, Mike has a rabbit's foot up his ass with this giant. He has some of these little like random ass people that you have totally forgotten about in Dynasty that has a top 12 finish at a position. What? Meanwhile, we're waiting on this Kyle Pitts breakout that's just dead in the water.
It may be a 2 tight end league. It may be a tight end premium, but tight end is the worst position in warp. Top to bottom, left to right, and even if it's worse,
so
right?
Good.
Alan, you're talking about top 12 for Jonnu Smith. How about tight end 8 in warp? In a best ball league where I capture 100% of all the warp of Jonnu Smith.
Well, you definitely do on that tight end room. There is no chance you have 2 tight ends beating out Jonnu Smith.
So you can knock me for the tight ends, whatever. I'm holding serve. I'm holding serve at the tight end while beating your ass at every single other position, top to bottom, as well as depth and draft capital.
Now,
thank you for the super chat, though.
I was going to say, Alan, I promise you I'm going to hear your team and get to you, too.
I don't need to laundry list my team out. It's not that good.
Oh, okay. All right. If he doesn't want it aired out, I won't. I don't. I just want to make sure it's included. Right. No, but here's one thing I wanted to say. Deep Sea, let me just tell you this. All right. You are super chatting. We love to see everything you're doing right now. Okay. The shit show, applaud you, appreciate you. Mike may have no shame in calling you out before he's going to beat your ass. I told him behind the scenes, listen, this is not good for the brand, but he's going to do him. All right? He's got shades on. All right. But I'll say this. If you would have, instead of coming to me telling me all the moves you've already made and then telling me how you're strategic, if you were to ask questions, I would have told you before you trade all your draft capital away for future, even in 2 tight end premium leagues, be careful in how much your investment is here. Because this is actually an area I have been errant on. I have gone I'm going to get Kelce, and I'm going to get Andrews, and I'm going to get Pitts. Now what? Nothing. My team sucks. That's what. Right. Because I spent an astronomical amount of value to make that happen. So I'm having the same problem Alan has. Who's my quarterback 2 in week 9? Who? I got to figure out, do I even have 4 running backs? Do I have enough fab to keep up with everybody else? But you got that awesome tight end room. So I'll say this. It's not a killer depending on what the rest of your team looks like. So do your team build, you could probably get through this. But I'll say this. It is not an essential part of an elite team. It can be as an add-on. Like it can be the plus, the cherry on top. But it is not it's not necessary to be an elite team to have a tight end monster room versus someone that has a dog shit tight end room. Because in best ball especially, you can just kind of, Sour Patch Kids together away. Like you can just throw a bunch of shit at the wall, and I'm beating you at other positions. So I'm not saying that Mike's going to end up beating you in the playoffs. I'm just telling you that tight ends and putting a bunch of your value there in the future is not necessarily the best play.
Lock it in.
Yeah. So
go ahead, Alan, please. I'm sorry.
No. I'd say tight end wise in Dynasty, just generic, doesn't have to be best play. Whatever, however context.
Let's do it.
Who would you rather have on your team? Just vacuum, Jonnu Smith or Cade Otton, because those are the two guys that really scored well last week, and I see those guys involved in some trades right now. Do you think it's like it doesn't matter, or is there one that you would clearly think is the better Dynasty asset?
I would have told you Jonnu Smith before last week when Cade Otton had a resurgence and showed me upside, and then I also fell in love with the fact that he doesn't wear gloves again.
He doesn't wear gloves.
Like he just old school, goes out there,
bare
hands. Yeah, man. And I think this Cade Otton was trending downwards pretty hard, where Jonnu was trending up. But we've been a part of one of the things about the tight end position. We see over time that guys like Jonnu, which I would say is more of a rarity, but guys like him that are once exciting, athletic prize guys, they fail for a while, right? And they underperform our expectations, so they become afterthoughts. And then all of a sudden, their values later on, right? We've seen this with Evan Engram. We've seen this with so many different guys. David Njoku, right? So
wasn't Jonnu hot though the year
going to New England when he got the contract?
Yeah,
he was 100%.
He was a player that we proactively drafted.
You're 100% correct, and that's exactly to my point. Is he was at that point like peaking, right? We're like, okay, we saw the flashes in Tennessee. He's got the contract now, and it's hoodie. But then it was all of a sudden immediately after Hunter Henry got a contract, and then he didn't do anything, and he underperformed our expectations. So now everyone's out on him, and he's starting to give you some value. The difference here with Cade Otton was in this really young, exciting group last year, was starting to trend downwards, but off of 2-touchdown game, you'll see his dynasty value skyrocket because the tight end position is so shallow as a whole. So I'll take Cade Otton here, and it's honestly strictly because of last week, but it's the truth.
Yeah, it's real. I can't say one way or the other. It's like, the quarterback situation, Baker Mayfield. It's like, or just the mishmash that they're going to put together in Atlanta. And I guess that's really, it's just another.
You get it, man. It's. Can I tell you what's really frustrating in a way is when I did it, by the way. You can't. You know what? Here, let me go ahead. I'll give people a little bit of a chance to see. I took out. It pained me. There used to be a Kyle Pitts unicorn sticker that I designed, made. And after last week, watching that Jonnu Smith touchdown, 60 yards, I took it off. I ripped it off. The wall's a little messed up. And if that was Kyle Pitts, though, Alan, we're super excited. Everybody's super excited. When it's Jonnu Smith, it's like, I don't know. Who cares, man?
He's stealing Kyle Pitts' production. The other bizarro thing going on in fantasy football and Dynasty is Bijan Robinson is basically having the production I thought Jahmyr Gibbs would have, and Jahmyr Gibbs is having the production I thought Bijan Robinson would have. Well,
in the 2-week flip-flop for Jahmyr Gibbs, when Alan, the Arthur Smith thing is honestly beginning to get to a point where I make a lot of jokes on this show, but there are some that are not of a joking matter. I'm actually, you know what? I'm going to NYC a week from tomorrow, and Nick Ercolano up there. I'm going to visit him again.
Yep, I know Nick.
He is a Falcons fan, and I remember that one of the latest pieces of content, he is just fuming. Get him off the screen. He's talking about Arthur Smith. He's just had it with him. So I think what's frustrating is the Arthur Smith usage of Bijan Robinson. Jahmyr Gibbs with David Montgomery out of lineup for 2 weeks has done everything you possibly could have wanted and shown the upside. So I hope that Dan Campbell will give him the reins. We'll see. We got so many questions, dude. I can't get to all these. I can't ask Alan to stay too much longer. Alan, I'll just say this. The comments are basically saying that
we'll have to do it again.
You're the MVP. Like, you came in, spot start. Like, you're like, hey, I need a guy. Alan comes in and he is the hero. He's the Nick Fold, Big Dick Nick, if you will, of our.
I look like Josh Dobbs a little bit, don't I?
You got to shave your eyebrows a little bit more.
I was gonna say right. It's close. If you shave those eyebrows down a touch, you use that same Manscaped.
I will do it for the eyebrows. Show. I will do it for the show.
If you do it on the show, you will never die in infamy. You will become the legend. If you do it on the show, you will never die. Yeah, I don't think you will either. But
No, you got honestly. Well, here let me be serious for a second. No, you guys make it easy, one, and I'm a fan. I'm a fan of what you guys do first. I mean, that's how we started connecting and collaborating and doing different things. Adam's been on my podcast, the RotoWire Dynasty Fantasy Football podcast. Mike's been a guest on my Sirius XM show, which we do throughout the year, Sunday mornings, all that different stuff. So I'm like I said, I'm a fan of you guys first. I'm glad that we've become friendly. I look forward to continuing to hang with you guys and do more stuff. But like I said, first and foremost, I love what you do. I think you guys are two of the best to do it. And I know you always make kind of the humble joke. Oh, we're new at this. We're not. No, you guys are here. You're you're cemented into this whole thing. And I think that you guys are leading the charge of this new school of content creators and just doing it the right way. So I'm a major fan. So I'm happy to be here and I appreciate what you guys do and and having me on.
Well, we appreciate that. I think Mike at least will say, the humility of Mike and the shades. That's one of the best things about Mike is he's going to give you the shade arrogance at times, but then he's going to try to act real humble at the end. Oh, Alan, that's too much. Thank you.
Hey, man. There's a few tears.
You see what I'm doing? Oh my gosh. Mike's sincere, by the way. That means a lot. And I just was going to say that means a lot, Alan, coming from you because
appreciate you.
We still feel very much like I'm telling you, whether it's humble or not. We're new in the space and we're just started this the other day and people still don't know who we are. And I think that's still truly the case, whether you may be right. Maybe we are, setting a trend and all that, but it feels like we're very new and unknown in the space. So to have a guy like you on and come in here and lay it down with us the way you did, vibe with us like that and give stellar content. Listen, man, we've had a lot of great people on here. I think at this point, close to everyone I've watched in content come on here. You've killed it. You have set a new bar that's going to be nearly impossible to beat in a single show ever. So, Alan, all the respect you're giving us, let me just tell you, it's coming back to you tenfold. And I don't have to pull up comments. It's too much. It's honestly to the point where I'm going to be like, Mike, I'm going to be teary-eyed looking at all this shit.
Well, I can tell you this, buddy. All right. If you ever make it out to the Fantasy Football Expo, just know that your room and board is paid for. Okay.
It's covered.
Well, I'm staying at the shit house.
You're staying at the shit B&B. Just be very careful about this, Alan. Because it's paid for, it doesn't mean that you want to just pick any room. Where you stay is very, very key and important. We can talk about that off air some, but just
I sleep in the nude though. I'm telling you, I sleep in the nude. So
believe me, after what you told us all on air that you're shaving clean, I don't think that's a big bother. There's far worse things in the shit B&B than that.
Yeah, those ass hairs are very, very tight.
Yeah.
Let me just say, I'm getting clowned. See, Alan, I'm the butt of the jokes. You get to shave your ass. I'm the butt of the jokes in this space because whenever Adam gets out on the guy, them smash anti-Adam. It's just they're not wrong. But I will say this: Money Moves is delayed. It's probably not going to come out till Friday. I've been trying to put it together. It's going to be back. I'm going to give you guys a preview. I never asked you to judge me on my winners. I asked you to judge me on my losers because I have so few.
Can't make hers with a word.
It's few. It's a bad loss, but
J.K. Dobbins with a word.
Have you seen the Money Move series, Mike?
I've seen it a few.
5 of 6. 5 of 6. That's as good as a record as he's ever going to get. If I got one time to shout out a claim, it's that. All right?
It's probably because you put out so few Money Move series.
Hey, if I go 5 of 6 every time, I win. Now, when Alan has me come on and give a prediction of every team in the NFL, I'm going to lose a lot. And go back and rewatch that. You'll see I hit a Gabe Davis, but I lost. Alan, how many did I lose? Probably at least a good 60, 70%, right?
We had you come on the RotoWire podcast. You made one bold prediction about every single team. Now, a bold prediction, again, is meant to be wrong, but it's just hey, what's the upside outcome? What's the downside outcome? By the way, one of those outcomes, I said Tyson Bagent was going to make non-injury related starts. Now that hasn't happened.
Remember that. I remember this though. It's interesting. I remember at the time, I heard the name, but I'm kind of man, I thought I was out there on some stuff. Look at this guy. Yeah. I mean, I remember I hit Gabe Davis pretty well, but after that, I can tell you a lot more of my losers. You did.
Yeah,
but I missed Kenny Pickett by a country mile. I told you guys that Tank Bigsby was gonna really eat into the workload of Travis Etienne. So
that was that started to become a consensus view, right? That was like in the high stakes stuff and like the FFPC, NFFC. I saw Bigsby going in like the 8th and 9th rounds. You weren't alone there.
Don't worry about it, because before the season kicked off, I told patrons to trade Travis Etienne for Tank Bigsby in a first, and you'd be fine.
Listen, I'm gonna miss. I am. Believe me, I have a ton of teams that have missed. I have a ton of picks that have missed. But when I hit, you won't hear as loud as Mike, because that's what Mike does. But you'll hear. Damn it.
The shade.
Hey, guy, a couple
You're
more
wearing shades. Go ahead.
Quick question: is Cam Akers droppable even in your deep dynasty leagues? Like, is he
100%? 100%. The only reason you should have him is in a couple teams. Like, I have so many shares. There's a couple where I feel like I can find a fish, and I'm finding out that I don't think I can find the fish. And frankly, he is droppable in all formats. I don't care what it is.
You'll take Dorian Thompson-Robinson for him in a Superflex league?
I am basically, I'll tell you this, Alan. I'm trying to throw him in as a add-in to some deal like it matters, and I have gotten feedback that tells me it almost is like Mike made this analogy. It's great. You get a pizza pie, right? You get a great pizza, and you open it up. You're all hungry, ready to go, and you see one of those little hairs from your butthole, right? One of those little hairs from your butthole made it on the pizza. You're not avoiding that piece. You're avoiding the whole thing. That's what Cam Akers as an add-on has done. So to the point of Cam Akers, man, I feel bad. I honestly feel a little partly responsible for his career. Like, I feel like I was such a fanboy, and everything since that point has been bad for him. But yeah, he's fully droppable in all formats, man. 100%.
Well, that's why I said so. It's funny you say that, because like the other day I went to like the swimming pool, and I went there, and it's beautiful. It was just cleaned. I was about to go in, and there was one like hair floating in it. And I was like, I'm not going in. I went back to
I don't trust anything about this place all of a sudden. This establishment is off limits. I'm out.
God knows what old lady pubic hair that was. It's like
you start having the Halloween horror stories. You're thinking where this could come from. Oh my goodness.
Yeah. I was happy to get a fifth for him. The two other shares I had just cut because nobody had any interest. So,
by the way, Keep Trade Cut had this man go from, I believe it was running back 41 to running back 80 in 2 days, and I think he's still going to just keep trending downwards. He's going to get probably outside the top 100 pretty soon. Yeah.
I'm going to try to get a backup quarterback for him. I'm going to try to get a Drew Lock or someone that could lead in a lineup league, not in your best ball stuff.
All right, so Alan, you said you had a couple, so fire away, man. Listen, AMA for everybody else. Mr. Smith, I got to get this free one on here, but go ahead. I want yours first.
No, this is for the people. Do theirs. Go ahead.
Wow, this is amazing catching you three together. I'm tuning in from Australia. What part, man? I used to play with a guy from Australia. Are you guys going to ask Alan about his life hacks and fetishes today, or is that just for the mansion? Listen, Mr. Smith, I think you need to rewatch, because I've done the best I can without being like intrusive of the man's true privacy at this point to get him to tell me every fetish he has. His question is Taysom a certified start in the flex or tight end for the rest of the season in a lineup?
Tight end. How many better tight ends are you going to find?
I think the answer is exactly like Mike. Let me phrase what Mike just said. If you have a hammer tight end, okay, if you have a Mark Andrews, a Travis Kelce, something like this, maybe you're not auto starting him at tight end. But if you don't have one of those few guys, 5-6 people, why are you not just starting Taysom Hill at this point? And if you do, I would say this. If you have someone, like Goddard would have been a perfect analogy here, because let me give Koopa a shout-out who's in the chat, an A-Warp tight end thing. If you had a Taysom Hill on a team like this, I would just say start Taysom Hill now and liquidate the other people that are not hammers. So, anyway.
All right, guys, ready for this? Week 6 through 9, right? That's 6, 7, 8, 9. It's a month. Okay. Taysom Hill is tight end what?
Wait, say it again.
The last month, right? Last month. That's a good in seasonal sample size. That's significant.
Doesn't matter. The last 2 weeks have been insane.
So forget. I'm saying 4. So I'm putting in. He's tight end what?
I'm gonna go 3.
Tight end 1, boys. Tight end 1.
Travis who? Travis who?
Travis Kelce's tight end 2.
Travis Kelce's too worried about Taylor Swift's asshole.
Yeah. And the reason I put in the week 6 also because I included a bad week. I included. His 5-point week in week 6. So obviously he's going to be tight end 1 in the last 3 weeks. But in seasonal sample size, which football small sample size, a month is significant. That's like, okay, that's a real trend.
No, I mean, and I think the Juwan Johnson thing has been put to bed, unfortunately, for some of our shares. But yeah, no, Taysom Hill's an auto start
too, right? For whatever reason, Taysom Hill didn't show up in the tight end ranks on the Warp Simulator or the Warp Tool, so he's working on that to get him in there. He might have to manually do it, but it'll be interesting to see. But yes, to answer the question, yes,
Taysom is tight end 1 and also in Warp, by the way. He got it in. You know what? But to Alan, to be fair, listen, I rely very heavily on the Warp Tool, and I wasn't privy to seeing him in this very high regard because he wasn't in the database for us the right way. So I'm sorry. Tight end 1 over the last month. That's actually really, really crazy.
It's 5 weeks. It's actually, I pulled it back now to week 5, and it's the same thing. He's still tight end 1. Yeah, 5. Let's see. Okay. You go half PPR. Yeah, he's right up there. He's right. He's tight end 2 if you go back another week. Now, here's the thing.
Go ahead.
This is maybe more of a redraft strategy, but when you have one of the hammer tight ends, you have Mark Andrews and Taysom Hill. Isn't it better to sell Mark Andrews? And again, that might be more redrafty, rather than it is, because that's the one who you get the running back for.
No. See, you are okay. You're kind of learning the inverse, the backward way. Like Alan, I'm very self-taught on this. Like I pretend like I know what I'm doing. You got to see 10 minutes of how I don't know what I'm doing. Okay. It's all self-taught up here. And like that's kind of the self-taught version. You kind of realize like, oh, you know what? Maybe it is smarter to liquidate the guy that can get me an actual stud elsewhere. And then I'll just take the meh tight end, right? And I think the more you end up leaning into that, the more you finally get to the point where Coop was at, where it's like, listen, in lineup leagues, I'm going to play this A-warp tight end life, which means every tight end that has a pulse in value, they're yours. And for whatever price that is. And I'm going to just keep putting in my tight end room the one that costs me nothing and has the best chance to get me some prayer points.
Taysom Hill is amazing for best ball as well, right?
Oh my gosh, yes, because he's got the QB tag.
He's got the dual eligibility, right?
Yep.
He can
one of the rare players that has that. Yeah.
Your Superflex, your tight end position. He is like a must explore to go acquire asset in Dynasty best ball right now.
He only gets high value touches. That's all he gets.
Or throws. They're touches, but they're throws.
It kind of pisses you off a little bit, right? For if you manage or you have shares of Derek Carr, but every time they get in the red zone, it's like this motherfucker's on the side.
It's exactly like you guys talked about with the 4 teams making the playoffs. If you have Taysom Hill, you are in la la land, happy as hell. But if you don't, and you have Derek Carr, you're furious, watching, screaming at the TV.
Yep. So the other question I had for you guys is, who's going to be the tight end that you're going to want, if any, in Philadelphia? Is it Alberto finally? Like, he is listed as number 2 on the depth chart. I see people picking up like Grant Calcaterra and all this shit. Like, is it just neither? Nobody.
I think the answer is okay. So Mike and I, I've tried to butt my way into this conversation, butted the joke a lot of times, but the reality is Mike is a extremely loyal and avid Eagles fan. And we talked about the situation, and the reality is I think currently, before the Dallas Goedert injury, was we had an alpha eater, and A.J. Brown was going to get his no matter what, and then you had this tripod of guys in DeAndre Swift and Dallas Goedert and Slim Reaper, right? DeVonta Smith, that were kind of going to rotate based on the week, who's going to eat and who's not. The fact that Goddard now takes himself out of that mix, I think it now becomes a consolidated room of those 3 guys eating the bulk of the touches.
The answer is go out and do what you can to acquire DeVonta Smith or DeAndre Swift.
Those guys are
there. You go. Yeah, because the 3 guys now with Goddard out of the mix, the 3 that will eat is going to be DeVonta Smith, DeAndre Swift, and obviously A.J. Brown. So
I think Swift might be, because he's kind of coming off of a couple of meh type performances, like not super exciting, though they were against tough defenses. So maybe that's the play. Smitty would have been okay if he would have gone like 4 for 35 or something like that. But when he went for the game he had last week, people are kind of hip to it. Like when he's out. And if you look at last year, remember when Dallas Goedert was out, that started the run of DeVonta Smith being basically a top 5 wide receiver in all fantasy football. So.
Right. That had people saying this year, oh, there's no difference between DeVonta Smith and A.J. Brown. That was like That was a narrative that was in place. And by the way, I was pushing that narrative. So guilty as charged.
Hey, now since we're all up here asking questions of the panel, I'm going to ask Mike and Alan. You can tune in. My only question I have then is, Mike, because we see this window and because we saw the prior window, do you think it's a pertinent move to try to sell Slim Reaper if his value recovers?
If he has another good game this week.
Yeah, like in the next 4 weeks, let's say his value kind of recovers. Is this a good sell window now?
For me, yes. I don't know if Brian Johnson is ever really going to figure it out as an offense coordinator. Mm-hmm. I don't think he's bad, okay? But he's new. He's not fucking Shane Steichen.
Well, that much we can all see.
Period.
Sell for what, though? What is sell him for what?
If he gets back to that top 10 dynasty wide receiver territory.
Well, that's going to be steep. That's going to be tough. I don't think even in a great scenario he gets there. What if he gets to, like, let's say the 15 range? Like he's in the same ballpark as Nico Collins. Let's say you get a first and a second for DeVonta Smith. Do you keep him or sell him?
I think he's kind of already there right now by default, Adam.
I think this is why I think it could be artificial to the point Alan's making, right? Because right now, let's say people are down on DeVonta Smith, but if he has a good 3 weeks and his value recovers to wide receiver 15, is it any different than what you would have sold for right now? That's what I mean by artificial.
I don't think it is. I don't think it is. Eric and I talked about this on the America's Game podcast coming out tomorrow. The problem for me is once you get past once you get to wide receiver 8 to 24 basically is the same fucking dudes, right? It's just a matter of who you're higher on, right? So it doesn't matter if he's keep trade cuts wide receiver 22 or wherever the fuck he ranks on there. It's basically the same thing as being keep trade cuts wide receiver 8.
I don't disagree. I think in the moment people will pay a price for 15 and 8 to 15, but they're not going to pay for the one that's down. To Alan's point, they don't want to run into a burning building, but they might pay for the one that's coming off 2 pop weeks.
If he comes off at 2 pop weeks, though, yes, to answer the original question, dude's going on the block. I'm pivoting to one of those guys maybe at 16, 17,
so
and
what
taking
would that
second round pick.
What's the price of acquisition? I guess is the question. What's the
Jordan
price of
Addison
sell?
in a second? You'll take Jordan Addison in a second?
Jordan Addison in a second.
definitely
Brandon
take
Aiyuk
that.
in a second. Michael Pittman in a second. Just give me a second. Thank you. Here you go. You can have DeVonta Smith.
I think Mike did a pretty good job of nailing that there, actually, for the shades and the drinking. That's about right, man. You give me a wide receiver in that same 8 to 24 range that I like in Dynasty and a second, and here's your DeVonta Smith.
Right.
I think
All
that's
right,
a great
I got one
call.
for you. Go the other way. Would Quentin Johnston in a first? Would you take
Quentin Johnson is Cam Akers almost to me.
Nobody
Not
wants
actually,
Quentin-
but he's getting close, man.
All right, but
I'm not panicked, super panicked. Okay, he's got a couple weeks yet to show something, but it's not looking good. Okay, don't let me try to rosy this shit up more than it is. In a best ball league, Alan, I will always consider the 2-for-1, even if it's a guy like him, because I'm just thinking, could he make my lineup maybe 2 times, 3 times?
No,
and I get a first
he
round
can't. If you combine his season stats, he doesn't make your lineup.
That's fine, Adam. I don't really give a shit because the fact is the 2024 wide receiver class is extremely
That's
fucking
fair.
deep. So
That part's
even
fair.
even if it's the fucking 110, I know I'm probably looking at a Mecca Buka, a Malik Neighbors, whatever. I'm gonna find something that's pretty comparable to DeVonta Smith, and I get the upside play in best ball for Quentin Johnson if he fucking does anything. So
that point
in a
is the
best ball
24
league, to
first
your
is
point,
fair.
Alan, yes, I would consider that. In a lineup league, fuck no, you can miss me with this. You keep your QJ.
Would you take Brand? So somebody says to you, I really like DeVonta Smith. Here's Brandon Aiyuk.
Straight up, 1-for-1.
Yeah.
I want some leverage somewhere or another.
No, but
Right.
if that's
I was going to
straight
say,
up-
so this is a great point of a question where, to me, if I have a guy, Mike and I talk about this, if we're tiering guys in the same category and you come offer me the same tier, for me, there's not a reason to pivot outside of a rare scenario where I'm just super overexposed. I just don't make a trade in the same tier for no reason.
Right. You want a little extra. You want to add another piece to your best ball lineup that could hit the lineup. You want a second round pick in a deep class. I got you.
Alan, you give me a third, and all of a sudden I'll take the Brandon Aiyuk side. You give me enough of a plus, and I'll take the guy in the same tier with the plus. But straight up, it's not a needle mover for us.
That makes sense.
And I did see Daniel Walker ask, who's selling? Listen, I've been trying to sell DeVonta Smith and Dynasty Degenerates that fucking start 16 abomination thing you made at him for the longest time.
Is that not
Ain't
a fun
nobody
league, though,
wanna buy
man?
this
Is that not a fun league? Mike loves this IDP league to death, and he hates the 16 starters league I made.
It's garbage.
16 starters can get rough, but it's IDP, man. I've played in a couple IDP leagues. I understand that people love them, but you have to. I mean, it's just like a whole nother part of my brain.
Here's what we're going to do, right? We need to make a second one. So we made IDP 101, right? Zach was always, I'm not good in our Discord, always talking about IDP and how we should get into it and blah, blah, blah. So I made this fucking abomination where, like sacks are worth 1 billion fucking points, right? Defensive ends score more than fucking quarterbacks, right? Good ones, right? I think as far as warp goes, TJ Watt might be the number one warp player in the entire league, right? The scoring is ridiculous for defensive players, and it's like start 12 or 13, whatever the fuck it is on defense alone.
It's 25 total. It's 13 and 12, one way or the other.
Alan, I can tell you it's the most fucking fun league there is. It is.
But see,
because
I'll be honest.
safe. You could be up 200 fucking points going into Monday night, and that lead could evaporate.
But here's the thing, Mike. I think that for a lot of people that league is fun. I actually enjoy it. It's not my most favorite league like yours is, and I think you're missing. I don't think Alan is loving it, and I'm worried you're going to scare him off with this IDP stuff. I want Alan to stay a part of the team.
Well, here's the thing. We're going to keep Alan a part of the team, but I'm going to get him introduced to IDP, and I want him to experience it.
Okay.
So
you're going to give him to the Mike IDP league. All right.
When we make IDP 202, Alan has a standing invite, and I will even pay his league dues for him to get in, just so he can experience the fun that is IDP 202.
I was going. You know what? It's like people.
Alan, you see this? Do you understand what's happening? Mike's paying your league dues. The chat loves you. I am in the middle of absolute nothingness. I am chopped liver over here, buddy.
No, what are you talking about? You're the energy man that makes the show go. You're giving us.
I'm trying to be a host, I guess.
No, you do it. Hosting is hard, man. I do it all the time. It's not an easy gig.
Well, you do a great job of it. Actually, you're one of the people I look at and say, all right, am I doing a good job of hosting? So I appreciate what you do.
I appreciate you saying that, man. No, you guys have a good thing over here, man. I really do, like I said. And by the way, thank you for that invite. There's no chance I'm ever doing IDP. I've tried it already.
Mike, I told you you're not listening to the man. Damn it.
Yeah. But
it's free. It's like stop.
He's inviting you to the house. See, Alan, this is what he does. He gives you these free invites, right? You get a free invite. You're kind of sketched out. What's wrong with this? I just told you. Like, Mike wants to put you in the room that's crazy, right? That's messed up. It's haunted. It's fucked up. He's trying to get. Yeah, you got free league dues in a shit league, but it's IDP. I know you hate it, but you got to play IDP.
Dominican, it was free. I never questioned it. I just opened the door.
I remember my old drug dealer used to give me a lot of freebies, and then I'm like knocking on his door at like 3 a.m. making the call, like, dude, I need more, like I'm not taking your free sample of this crap.
See, okay, so Alan just gave you a real life experience. That experience tells you why he's not going to do this IDP thing. He doesn't want to be the crackhead doing all these IDP leagues because Mike set this up.
I can't believe a guy wearing a fucking tracksuit is telling me no right now.
I can. Listen, I at this point, I'm shocked that we have had Alan on for almost 2 hours. This show has been
fun.
I mean, I'm not gonna I can't go back the entirety of my career, but this has been, if not the best, one of the most fun, best shows I've ever had. Mike, I mean, I pulled I think one true question up from the free ones. And we didn't. We had a deep sea overwhelm us, but we had a handful of super chats. Everybody here, we appreciate you guys. We appreciate all the love you showed us, especially Alan, first time coming on here. Hope to have him back. We hope that Mike didn't ruin it with the IDP stuff.
Enhanced it.
No, with the IDP stuff. Mike definitely enhances it, but on the way out, he's like trying to give you a bad signal. That's what I'm worried about with this guy. I love him, but. Come on,
it sounds like he's a little embarrassed of you. Come on, man. It's like.
Listen, Mike's one of these guys that's like, I know when you get to know Mike, the real Mike, you're going to get to love him. But Mike, Mike in an hour and 42. See, you guys have prior history, though. You have 2 Sirius XM shows. I have no doubts. If this was someone else, Alan, in an hour and 42, and it's like, hey, he just told you he doesn't like IDP, and Mike's like, listen, you're going to love IDP. The shit 202. It's going to be defensive players run the league. Well, he may never come back. We love that he came on and had a great time with us, but that might be the end of our run.
You know what it's like? It's like we have this great game of Dynasty play, and I love all the different formats. That it's like it's like missionary sex. It's the best. Now all of a sudden, Mike wants to do it with like 2 fingers up my ass, and he wants to like put hot wax on my nipples and like
I just got this book.
See, it's like the 40-year-old virgin scene. Like, you know, they got to get the guy all this waxing.
I just like sex the regular way. I'm telling you, it's okay. It's good the way it is.
I didn't know you're vanilla, Alan.
No. What I'm saying, well, vanilla, you know, I'm not that.
He loves vanilla. He just told you about his affinity for white. Come on, give the kid some credits, man. This is the guy. This is our guy. This is a shithead. Whether he's actually a part of the squad or not, you could just tell the vibes Alan gets down with the South Harmon way. We appreciate every shithead here. Let me just say this, man. I'm going to give us a little send-off. But, Alan, props to you, man. Coming on here, you know, I can't divulge, but, you know, the way the show kind of came a little off the rails, explaining some real-life stuff, and then coming in here just absolutely killed it to a high degree. Mike has seen some good stuff. I've seen some good stuff, but that was on another level. Fantastic. When AMA is filled with a bunch of comments that aren't questions to ask, and they're entertained, you've done a job that nobody can do. And congratulations on that. We appreciate you hopping on. Love to have you back some other time, man. Seriously.
Anytime, man. You know, like I said, I'm a fan first.
We love you, buddy. Go check out everything Alan's doing. RotoWire.
Yeah, give your plugs too for everyone here.
Yeah.
Sure.
Player
you can follow me
profiler.
at Alan Seslowsky. You can follow me there. I post everything there. But every Sunday morning, SiriusXM, Channel 87, Fantasy Sports Channel, 9 to 10 a.m. We're on there, just getting you ready for the week, talking some smack about fantasy football.
I absolutely love it. We'll see you guys back here, same time, same place. You got to just tune in. It's going to be just Mike and I. But we're out of this thing. We'll see you next week. Peace.
Yo.